If you have been leading teams for years, meeting and even consistently exceed expectations during the performance reviews, but you still feel stagnant in your career progression and you're wondering why you are not being promoted to vice president of these C-suite roles, I've been there myself. I spent over 8 years in global director roles, managing global team, delivering results, and thinking performance and experience would get me noticed. It didn't. Not until what I learned what actually drives promotion at the executive level. Since then, I've had 2 vice president roles across Asia and Europe in 2 of the largest Swedish companies by market cap. And I'm here to tell you, it's not just about your experience, your performance, or even your qualification, meaning that you tick all the boxes on the job description. If you're in your career prime time, you are performing at a high level, and you feel you can contribute more, you want to make a bigger impact, a higher income, and still you feel you are stuck in your career progression, it's not because you're not good enough, it's because you are missing what most high performers miss. So in this video, I will walk you through the 3 learnings I wish someone had told me sooner, the exact ones that helped me move from director to vice president, and that now I teach other senior leaders ready to make the leap to the C-suite. Let's get started with the most common trap that keeps even the highest performing leaders invisible at the top. That is, you've outgrown execution, but you haven't outgrown the executor identity. Now let me explain. Are you still known and maybe even proud as the person who could get things done? Be honest. When someone introduces you, do they highlight your strategic impact or your reliability? Here's the trap. You are not just stuck because you are performing less. You are stuck because you are identified as an executor, a high-performing contributor, but not a business leader. Imagine now you are a director of FP&A in large and global organization. You've built budgets, delivered forecasts, and you merge the market intelligence with financial analysis. You've led teams, you're very good at what you do. Very often, every month or every quarter, you are invited into the boardroom or the executive management meetings to present the report and findings your team prepared. Then when the real decision-making begins, they thank you and they ask you to leave the room. Why is that? Because they see you as the person who supports the decision, not the person who should shape it. If the next goal of your career is the CFO in a region or vice president finance role at global headquarters, but your brand is still tied to execution, coordination, data consolidation, or reporting, here's the problem. Your company's decision makers, the presidents, the CEOs, they don't just promote analysts. They promote people who can shape financial narratives, not just presenting numbers, leaders who can connect market shifts to business performance, and leaders who could influence how capital is allocated across markets and functions, and can drive strategic outcomes, not just data precisions. Until you start showing in language, posture, and behavior that you think like a decision maker, not just a deliverer, you will keep being invited into the room but not kept in the room when it matters. And I get it. Changing that perception is hard, especially you have built your reputation on being dependable. I had to go through that exact same shift myself. Actually, in another video that I did, I shared the specific steps I took to reposition how my colleagues saw me from a trusted executor to a strategic partner. It is not easy, it's not overnight either, but it's possible and it's doable. You might want to check it out after you watch this video. Because here's the truth, your performance might get you in the room, but your identity determines whether you stay. And once you begin showing up as a leader, the next shift is learning how to sound like one. This leads to my second point, is that you are in the room, but you are not in the decision-making process. Now, let's say you've made progress. You are no longer just invited in to present your reports. You are also being asked to stay for the decision-making process. But here's the catch. Just because you are in the room doesn't mean you are in the conversation. Let me give you this scenario. You are in a senior leadership meeting. You have presented your part. The room is full of SVPs, business unit president, and board members and decision makers. Now the discussion begins. Everyone's talking in shorthand, referring to some discussions you are not fully aware of, certain initiatives you haven't been briefed on, and strategy layers that were never in the prep deck. And suddenly, your confidence starts to shrink. You wonder, shall I speak? Would anything I say even matter? What if I say something that's already been discussed? So you sit there, waiting, responding only when someone asks you a fact-based question, Basically, you are there to provide information, but they are not asking your opinions, hoping that you are not caught off guard, feeling like your job is down there while the conversation is happening up there. At the executive level, presence isn't just about being there, it's about mattering. If your opinions are not listened, only your information, fact-based data is listened during the dialogue, then you are still playing a supporting role. And I know most of you directors, you prepare for the meetings as if your moment is only the presentation. And that's not how you stand out. How you contribute after your slide deck ends, when the unscripted, the messy, and the strategic dialogue begins, that's where the real influence happens. Don't try to impress. Try to elevate the conversation. Try to be a partner. Try to be their advisor. Because the president of the business unit, they don't just promote contributors. They promote contributors who elevate the room, elevate the discussion, elevate others. You don't have to dominate the room, but if you can elevate the conversation once, twice, 3 times, people start to see you not just as a functional expert, but as a strategic peer. But even that is not always enough, because what happens when you are saying the right things, but they still don't land? When your ideas are clear, your intent is good, but you still get overlooked. Or worse, someone else run with your thinking and say what you just said, but they get the credit. This is where performance and presence are not the problem. Now, it's about political timing, emotional reading, and strategic alignment. Now, let me go to my third point. That is, emotional intelligence is not optional. It is your executive superpower. Have you ever walked out of a senior meeting and thinking, I said the right thing, I made the business case, why didn't it land? At the VP and C-suite level, emotional intelligence and political awareness are non-negotiable. In fact, they often matter more than how sharp your analysis is. Let's continue the example that you are the director of FP&A. Now you've just presented a cost optimization plan that saves $11 million for your organization. The numbers are sound, the model is great, but your recommendation, shifting investment from Germany to Czech Republic, doesn't get traction. You get the stakeholders' polite nods, and the CFO says, thank you for the recommendation, let's think about it. Then 2 days later, a commercial vice president repitched the exact same idea. This time she tied to market penetration strategy. Suddenly, everyone's on board. So what happened here? Because you didn't pre-align with the commercial leaders whose budget will be affected. Or you pitched the idea through a finance-first lens instead of linking it to growth and competitive advantage. And you didn't anticipate how the BU head's recent board pressure to strengthen the German facility. And this definitely would color the room's reaction. This is office politics. It's also organizational intelligence. Every boardroom is wired with informal power, timing, the positioning, the relational equity. All these factors drives influence. If you don't know the pressure points of key decision makers, your best idea can get buried. So what emotional intelligence looks like here is that you build cross-functional trust before the meeting. You ask the president of the business unit and the general managers of Germany and Czech Republic for their take. And you incorporate their language, their perspectives, and their benefits. You frame the financials as an enabler of expansion strategy, not just cost saving. So what you want to do is you want to build informal alliances with key stakeholders from, for example, the regions, the commercial team, operations, and HR peers. And you understand where the team's energy is focused and connect your insights to their lens. Never walk into a high-stakes meeting without knowing who the decision makers trust and how to speak their language. Being right doesn't help you, your career, or even your team, or even the business. Being trusted, emotionally intelligent, and politically aware does. Because promotions are not just decisions about who could contribute more and do more. They bet on strategic, emotionally grounded, and politically fluent leaders. I've created a free masterclass where I go even deeper into these frameworks, strategies, and real-world examples that would help you in repositioning yourself for executive leadership roles. It's especially relevant to directors, team leaders with international careers who are high performers and have been consistently growing in their career, but in recent years have found themselves stuck in middle management or stuck in one level or one position. You want to click the link in the description below to have access to the masterclass now. It's completely free. And next, you can watch this video to learn how I managed to change my colleagues' perception of me. I'll see you there.